Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Keegan. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit that subscribe button and to put your opinions down there in the comment section. Marianas Trench, Astoria. Marianas Trench are a pop rock band from Vancouver, Canada, formed way back in 2001. The band has gone on to release 5 studio albums in the time that they've been around, all of them to mostly positive acclaim. This suggestion is actually one half of the full suggestion from Aaron R. Thank you so much, and don't worry, I will get to fix me. Just hold on. Anyway, this album of the band's I will be reviewing is their 4th full-length, Astoria. The band was diving into the concept album well before this album came out, and this one really seemed to be like a giant grand opus at the time. Especially with this awesome album cover, and the title of the record being taken from the place where the Goonies was made. But just how good is this album? Let's find out as I review this album, track by track. Before I start properly with this review, there are these 5 tracks right here. August Burns Red, Hospital Bells, Hollywood Renaissance, Never Say Die, and Straight Until Morning. All 5 of these tracks serve as little cinematic orchestral interludes in between the core tracks of this album. And in all honesty, they're not really worth talking about. They're all very sweet, short palette cleansers from the main track list, and they don't even really transition into their respective tracks all that well, which is kind of disappointing for a concept album. However, they're not going to affect my overall rating, just thought I'd get them out of the way now. Anyway, on with the review. We'll start with the singles, with there actually only being one single, with that being One Love, which doesn't really have that much interesting going on instrumentally. Just a rather powerful thumping, yet also airy percussion, and quite soaring synths. The main thing about this track is Josh's vocals, which he usually sells with this near perfection, and this track is no exception. In fact, I dare say this is one of the best vocal performances on this entire album, which you'll see why later how much of a compliment that is. Especially on the final chorus where he erupts with this passion after going much calmer on the bridge. Lyrically, it's basically about how you only get one true love in your life, and that's it. Fitting instrumental for a kind of a dour topic and a gorgeous song to boot. Now for the rest of the tracks. The opener and the title track, Astoria, is wow, just wow. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's take it step by step. The track opens up with this very fitting, atmospheric choir vocal passage, heavy pounding synths, and rather anticlimactic keys. Josh's vocal performance really starts off the track, and it is such a storyteller voice that can be uplifting and motivational, but also soul-crushing and depressing. I feel a lot of Queen influence on this track, or maybe even The Who, but I just get a wonderful feeling that this is a pop equivalent to a Bohemian Rhapsody, which is probably a hot take, but it just makes sense to me. The track travels through various pitches and instrumentations along with these fantastic harmonies and some gorgeous stage performance-worthy lyrical content, which transitions from going from mental hardships to resorting to sexual pleasure to numb the pain of a previous relationship to letting music be the savior of his life. God, this is such a beautiful track. I can't say enough praises about it. Burning Up immediately gets me on my feet with these shrill yet still groovy guitars and incredibly catchy percussion. Josh, of course, gives a wonderfully fitting performance on the verses, but the chorus, he flexes his effortless falsettos that don't even feel forced at all somehow considering how high he goes. And when the last 2 choruses kick in, it slowly builds up back into that jam. It's so good. Lyrically, it's simply about this person teasing him with all her lies. Such a good song, this one's worth checking out. Yesterday, I swear, has the exact same beat from Kenny Loggins' Footloose, at least the base of it is. In all honesty, this one's probably the least notable in the entire track list. Not even that that's a bad thing, it just doesn't really stick out to me that much. Although it certainly isn't something Marianas Trench have done before. Very heavy synths, poppy percussion, and Josh giving a regular vocal performance. Lyrically, it's pretty uplifting, basically just telling you to live in the moment, but turning it into a bit of a love song as well. It's not a bad song, but it certainly isn't that stellar either. This Means War is definitely one of the purest pop releases the band has released in their entire career. The main factor to that being this instrumental with these bubbly, poppy synths, and the percussion keeps very upbeat, along with being a little bit heavier than I would have liked. The guitar is quite shrill, but not nearly to the level that Burning Up was, and Josh's vocals are rather sassy and playful, which I always enjoy coming from him. Lyrically, it's about how couples often fight every now and then, and he's talking about how he misses the war and wants to reignite that. Fun track, certainly deserving of the radio play. Dearly Departed is a mid-album highlight for me. The instrumental is simply just a calm, breezy ukulele, nothing more, nothing less. Josh's vocals are also rather calm, yet still fitting, and that falsetto on the chorus is just so sincere and maybe a little bit strained, it doesn't feel as effortless as Burning Up did. But in all honesty, I suppose you could equate that to emotional sincerity. Lyrically, Josh is singing about how him and this girl have parted ways, and how they were just getting fully committed to, but never properly finished, much like his real relationship with his fiancée. Also, that part where he strings in the titles of the previous Marianas Trench songs and how they're all related to this same woman he was writing songs about. Flawless. Great track, worth checking out as well. Shut Up and Kiss Me is so corny, so cheesy, I don't even really know what to make of it. The sweeping piano keys just add this extra layer of cheese that kind of makes it a bit too much to stomach. You know, honestly, looking at this song critically actually kind of turned me off to this song. All the background vocals and poppy yet still grand instrumental, nothing really connects all that well on this track. In all honesty, Josh's vocals are probably the best part of this track, with him giving a rather passionate performance to the instrumental. Lyrically, I mean, the song title says it all. I think this one is one to pass on. Who Do You Love was another gigantic radio hit from this album, and yeah, this is another one that wholly deserves it. It's a little bit of a laid-back kind of pop song, especially on the verses, with a very light piano in the background and soft percussion. Josh's vocal delivery is very honest and sincere. It feels very genuine, and the eruption on the chorus is very uplifting as well. And when combined with the lyrical content of dealing with mental issues and getting back up on your feet, you've got a song that's very powerful. Wildfire is probably the most definite Marianas Trench song on this entire album, and it works for what it is. This is another track where not too much is going on instrumentally, just some somber piano and the chorus kicks in and the drums have some nice heft to them. Not to mention Josh belting the title of the song at the top of his lungs, especially on this final chorus. Lyrically, it's about getting over a past relationship and thinking that love would always burn like a wildfire, but it doesn't. This track has much of that same feeling as One Love, and it kinda has the same effect. Great song. While We're Young is definitely one of the more slept on tracks from this album. This song is just pure bliss, with the power ballad inspired instrumental with tough piano, and the grand sweeping chorus just knocks me backwards with this intense power. Not to mention Josh's vocal performance, which, in my opinion, are the best on this entire album. They just pack so much weight and emotion. It's truly something spectacular. Lyrically, it's about living in this rocky relationship, and how shouldn't being young be the time of their lives? Absolutely gorgeous, certainly worth a listen. Forget Me Not is the stereotypical ballad of this album on first listen, and for what it is, it's pretty good. The elegant piano is the main instrumental throughout the track, and Josh's vocals are really good, though not quite up to the caliber of While We're Young, but it doesn't need to be. His voice is a lot more toned down to match the piano, and it's very relaxing and soothing. Lyrically, though, it's kind of depressing, about his mother's struggle with dementia and how he plays some songs, she tries to sing along to them, and with him not wanting her to forget him. Tough subject, not easy to swallow, but a fitting song. And finally, the closer End of an Era has much of the similar aspects to Astoria, and that's very grand, meant to be a giant sweeping closer to the album, much like Astoria was the grand operatic opener. Also, despite this being 7.5 minutes, it's very sweet and very satisfying, going through a lot of different sounds, tempo, and genre changes as well. Josh hollers at the back end of this track, just making it feel more and more grand. Lyrically, he's singing about how this is the end of an era, and by that he means he isn't going back to that isolation of himself that happened during the recording of this album, thankfully not ending the Marianas Trench career. Great closer, wonderful song. Overall, this was the first album of Marianas Trench I ever listened to fully, and a lot of the music from this album really turned me on to the band's deeper cuts. And there's a lot to like here. A lot of charisma, catchy songwriting, and melodies, not to mention Josh's vocals being some of the best in modern music today. If you need a starting point with this band, I recommend this album. It may be a little operatic and grand on first listen, but you'll find a bunch of catchy songs you'll return to at some point. I'm feeling a damn good 9 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.